Say until you're making get the aeroplane. Before you go make calm, you beg God to make calm. But see, everybody gets late. So my brother hustle, so my sister walk. No condition lasts forever. Your own turn will come. So my brother hustle, so my sister walk. This you know they come forever. Your own peace to come. Good morning. Don't come because not be only you kill Jesus, with plenty for them. One day we go better. One day, one day. Someday we better. When they tell you money don't be everything, you get best, you get better. You say myself I won't get down. So my brother, awesome. I am your show. Look for this shine forever. Sunday come on. Make you hustle, 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 make you walk, yo. This is not the book forever. Love is for dollar, love is for dollar. If you see the best, rejoice with them. Go come because not be only you kill Jesus, we plenty for them. Okay, that was Kobam's Asuko featuring Simi, and that one is titled "We Plenty." Amazing, amazing, amazing song. I love Kobam's Asuko, one of life's greatest gifts and songwriters to Nigeria and the rest of the world. Okay, so let me welcome you to Pfthinks episode 68. Whoa, we're already on episode 68, and I'm so excited. This is from Praise Forward International Studio, Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Praise Forward, popularly called Prof or PF, and this is Pfthinks. Well, we start another series today. We thank God for the grace and the mercy. Thank God for how He's protected us and how He's kept us safe. Thank you for all of you joining me every day, 3 a.m. club. Thank you so much. We start another series today that I've titled "Common Mistakes Married Men Make." Common mistakes married men make. If you know what I do as a family life therapist, you will know that my life is not my own. I must have listened to loads and loads of cases. Yesterday, I had about 3, 4 major sessions online. Working with troubled marriages in the last 10, 15 years of my life. That's my life. That's my normal schedule. Sitting with people, sitting with troubled marriages, sitting with troubled men. And trust me, it doesn't mean I am perfect. It doesn't mean I'm perfect at all. I mean, I've got my own issues I've had to deal with. But I mean, it's like a doctor. When you're sick, you still have to fix people. But I'm thanking God because I get better every day, and this has opened my eyes to quite a number of things that people can avoid in their relationship. I've learned a whole lot from my clients and in creating strategy that can make relationships work. And by the way, if you want to become a family life professional, you want to become a family life practitioner, you can follow the link that is scrolling, and you can come to school with us. We have a certification course, which is about the only one that exists in Africa right now. Good thing is people from diaspora are taking that course right now, and it's really, really turning people's life around. It's a course that's going to totally transform you. Okay, so I'm going to be taking about 10 different common mistakes I have seen with a lot of married men, and I'll tell you how to correct some of them. Okay, so I have realized that a lot of marriages shouldn't have broken or hit the rocks if one person was smarter or the two people made up their mind to make it work. Now, oftentimes we make avoidable mistakes as men, and sometimes it's not because we wanted to make those mistakes or want to make those mistakes. Sometimes is a function of conditioning. It's a function of our belief system. I have said that your belief is not the truth. Often the truth, your belief is what you have held to be true. And oftentimes you were not even given the permission to choose your beliefs because they loaded your brain with all kinds of things. So many of us were born to believe certain things based on what our parents, especially our fathers, exhibited. So the first mentor, family life mentor or relationship mentor was our father. We saw what our father did in the relationship, in marriage, and it became aspirational for us. We wanted to be like our father. And unfortunately, many of us are troubling our home. Unknown to us, many of the things we said we would avoid, we would not do that our father did to our mom is exactly what we're doing to our wives. Now, if we do not change this intentionally, our children will repeat the same mistakes. It's going to be garbage in, garbage out. So if we do not take, a totally different route, we will end exactly where our parents ended. So I'm going to be taking you through point by point some of the common mistakes I have realized that married men make and how to avoid them. Okay, so today I'm going to be starting with misunderstanding headship in the home. Misunderstanding headship in the home. How many times have you seen men make statements like, "Don't you know I am the head of this family?" And what do they mean by the head of the family? The head of the family to them is the person that must be worshipped and nobody must question him. Right? They are like the social lord or the village lord in the family that they are unapproachable. Nobody must talk to them. As a matter of fact, some of them believe that being the head means that being feared. So your wife must be afraid of you. Your children must run around when they see you. I remember growing up, thank God my father is listening. Our father is late, but my firstborn is listening, so he knows what we're talking about. Thank you very much for always joining me, sir. I do not take it for granted, Otumba. Thank you. You are my number one supporter, and I really, really appreciate you, sir. One of the things that happened is my father was a very, very serious-minded person. My father never really had time to play. So my father believed that you must read all the time, So when he's out of the house, we are in our element, but we had a way of knowing it's on. Once you had the blaring of his on, you needed to adjust yourself and pretend as if you're serious, even though you are not serious, right? I remember many times I wanted to go and ask him for maybe something that he asked us to bring at school. I had to do sign of the cross and commit his heart into God's hand. My father was not a wicked man. My father was one of the best disciplinarians I've met, but that was the way he was also raised. My father was the victim of the system that produced him, right? And many of us are the victim of the system that produced us. But we need to check ourselves and ask ourselves if our behavior aligns with best practice. Unfortunately, a lot of people would rather die than change their belief system. They would rather die than change what is not working. One of the things you need to do if you really, really want to know the truth about your leadership style, because the question I always ask married men is if the head of the family will be elected every 4 years, do you think you'll win the next election? Do you think your family will retain you as the head of the family? That if they don't have to bother about you making provisions available when it comes to economics, right? Will they retain you as the head of the family, right? So one of the easiest ways to know whether your family is happy with you is to call a meeting, call a constitutional conference, and ask them to honestly feed you back if there will be no consequence for whatever they say to you. You will be shocked. I mean, I remember we couldn't talk to my dad, so my sisters had to write a letter to him, and that letter was very brutal. So you might want to do that because until we understand headship, we will trade stewardship for ownership. I love the way Jesus puts it. He that seeks to be the head among you, let him be the servant of all. Now, in Africa, we think that leadership is the person who commands obedience against all odds. We think leadership because we're used to military rule, so we're used to commanding people. So an average politician in Nigeria or in Africa is not how to serve the people, is how to serve his own selfish interest. In fact, we are seeing traces of that even in developed countries right now, right? Where a typical politician or a leader, instead of serving the people, is serving his own interest, right? So we need to understand that headship doesn't necessarily mean the head is not the richest, is not the strongest. Headship is often the servant leader who is saddled with the responsibility of creating the right environment where the potential of everyone can find expression. If you go into the jungle, the lion is called the king of the jungle. The lion is not the smartest, the lion is not the biggest, the lion is not the greatest, is not the fastest, right? But everyone recognizes that the lion has got some inherent trait that naturally makes him a leader, right? The same thing when it comes to the family. You need to understand that your headship is not under contention. A lot of men, instead of doing the shift, instead of ending the headship, instead of carrying the role with absolute humility, what we do is, even in our misbehavior, we think that nobody should question us, right? Even when we are sinking the family ship, we do not want to be questioned because we feel that since we are the ones who make provision available, then nobody should question us, which is why a typical man in marriage wants to own economics so that he can manipulate and control people. Because once every other family member is disempowered economically, you know they will defer to you. So a lot of us want to use that to manipulate our family. It's not a good behavior. Even if you provide 100% for your family, it still must not stop their ability to tell you the truth. Sometimes I wonder that the politicians who loot our treasury dry, do they ever take feedback from their family members? Do their wives actually speak the truth to them? Or their wives are also hard, right? If you are married and your wife cannot talk to you, you are totally messed up. You are actually a mess, right? Because your wife is the one you have sex with. She should be able to feed you back, give you honest feedback. But if you don't have the capacity to take that feedback, a lot has gone wrong with you and you need a lot of help. So when we don't understand what headship is all about, the head is not the one who picks remote control and controls everyone. The head is not the one that everybody runs away from. The head is not the one who manipulates everyone because he has power of money. The head is not the one who is older, superior, richer, bigger, stronger than everyone. No, the head is the servant of all. So if you look into your family and ask yourself, what are the things that you have said this is a no-go area for the head of the family? Now, I know when people think about the head, they think, oh, either has the penis, must be the head. No, that's not right. And which is why you need to understand that you cannot be the head of everything, right? Because you must be the head in your area of expertise and competence. And part of headship is giving expression to everyone who has demonstrated competence in their other areas, right? Because there must be orderliness in the family, is why you have been made the head. And you need to understand that your role is to create an enabling environment where the potential of everyone can find expression. So I'm going to be asking you a number of questions. Now, if you cannot say yes, or if you didn't measure up to like maybe six of this question, if you can't pass six of this question or seven, then something is fundamentally wrong that you need to change. So number one, when was the last time you fixed a meal for your family? Right? If you are the kind of Ed who believes that it's only the woman that must cook, that is old school, right? And that is not the truth. That is not the right thing. That was what we met because our world used to be a patriarchal, society. So what we do is we always believe that the man is the leader, the man is the king, and you are right. But there's leadership in your wife as well. So when you believe that you have no place in the kitchen because the kitchen is meant for women, you are going to make a slave out of your wife. Now, if you have the money to afford a cook, that would be fantastic. But you see, if we don't get into kitchen as married men, our children, especially our boys, may never get into the kitchen, right? Which is why we need to right the wrong and the error created by our parents by ensuring we get into the kitchen. If you are truly the servant of all, you will get in the kitchen. Even if you don't know how to cook, you will ask for people to teach you. You will ask for your wife to teach you. When was last time you took responsibility for doing the dishes or the children's homework? Now, these are the things that many Africans have zoned in the direction of their wives. And I'm happy that we're having a new generation of African fathers who now do some of these things, right? So your wife has served your meal, right? And you have finished eating. The capacity to pick the meal, especially when your children to pick the plates and go do the dishes, is something that is too big for some of our men, right? They would rather die than do that. Now, do you know that every time you finish your meal and you carry your plate, you are reciprocating a gesture that if you have been fed, the minimum reciprocation is to actually go wash your dishes. Now, I always tell people I never taught my son to wash his plate, never taught him once, never sat him down once, right? He was born to make me wash plate, he was born to make me cook. So my son naturally assumed that that is the way human beings live, right? And the first time he noticed that women are the ones who cook was when he went to school and GSS, primary three social studies textbook that says that daddy goes to work, mommy stays at home, and mommy cooks. And that was a big fight because he didn't believe that, right? So when was the last time you took responsibilities for doing? Now, these are mundane things that makes massive changes, right? 3, are you really in touch with what is happening in the life of your children? Can they be honest with you? Or they can't tell you their truth because they don't know the response you're going to give. When was the last time you sat at home to babysit while allowing your wife attend the course that can improve her? What I see around is that a lot of men are improving themselves, going from first degree to second degree to master's to PhD, right? While their wives have not moved from the level they are, right? Your role as a husband is the groomer of a bride. Your role is to groom your wife to become the best version of herself. If your wife is not a better version of herself, if she's a shadow of what she used to be, it's a function of testimony to your grooming ability, right? So when was the last time you sat at home to babysit while allowing your spouse to attend the course? When was the last time you truly sacrificed what you ought to have done so that your spouse can improve herself? Right? It's life is not always about you, right? The headship in the home is not the man that every other person must gather to worship, right? Your wife does not have to die for your own dream to live. I have seen a lot of women die. I sit with women consistently. A lot of them are depressed. And what is depressing them is that they cannot live out their truth. They cannot do what they are passionate about. I've met quite, and this goes to pastors. Please, that you're a pastor doesn't mean your wife has to be Pastor Mrs. If she has another passion, let her give expression to her passion, which is why I love what Pastor Ito has done with Ibido before she passed on, right? That you must allow your spouses to find expression in their area of expertise. There is no point saddling her with the mic and making her do what she's not naturally gifted at, right? And that's why a lot of errors is taught on pulpit, because we just assume that because the man is a pastor, the wife has to go to be assistant pastor, right? It's like a medical doctor. The fact that you're a medical doctor doesn't mean your wife must be deputy medical doctor. She cannot be deputy medical director. We need to find what your spouse is passionate about and let them give expression to and allow them give expression to their passion, right? When was the last time you truly taught your wife something new without making him feel you were reading her rules and regulation, right? When was the last time you truly taught her something new without making him feel you were reading her rules and regulation? When was the last time you were truly all over her the way you used to be before she finally said yes to your proposal? When was the last time? It's almost as if people say that the male is an hunter. It's not totally correct, right? You must be a groomer, right? So what people say is that, she chases you, then when he catches the prey, your wife is not a prey, right? So people don't know that what you used to do to nurture her before she said yes to you is exactly what you need to do for her to keep saying yes to you. You need to nurture her. You need to keep writing the poems. You need to keep oiling your relationship. You cannot abandon it. It's like your wife is like a flower. If you abandon her, she's going to wither. When was the last time you provided for your family without complaining? I've seen men who provide and they complain all the time. So when their children don't greet them, they begin to threaten. Don't you know I'm the father of this house? Don't you know it's because of you I'm slaving? Don't you know it's because of you I'm running around? Nobody asked you to do all those things. Yes, we are grateful that you're able to do them, but you see, it's a responsibility for providing. These children did not beg you to come to the world. You were the one that donated semen, that fertilized a egg that could have been avoided anyway, right, by bringing them. So we need to take responsibilities. Now, do you truly trust her, or are there misgivings where she's concerned? Some of us don't fully trust our wives, right? You trust her with your body, but you don't trust her with her ATM card, right? So you have a lot of men whose wives don't know what they earn. They don't know the secret bank accounts you have. We have a lot of fathers who died and their children don't know where their investments are. So there's a bank in Nigeria that humorously I said that bank cannot crash because that bank is feeding fat on the income and earnings of fathers who never disclose their earnings to their wives, right? So that bank is very, very big, massive, right? Because they will just be feeding fat on the savings of those men because they never disclose to their family, right? Can she truly call you my husband, or have you become our husband, right? You know what that means, right? Are you truly your wife's husband, or you are our husband, which means you have expression, you are spreading tentacles everywhere. Do you still treat her like your queen, or she has become your house help or flatmate? These are questions we need to answer as men, because the moment you shift from friendship to an autocratic relationship, you destroy the bound of relationship. What brought the two of you together was first friendship. What brought you together was the fact that you want to be equal partners, with equal right. What brought you together, which is why I always say, I was having a chat with one of my sisters, Yosola, and we were discussing this. And I said, have you not noticed that when children gather, they don't talk about superiority, inferiority, they don't talk about male, female. All children want to do is play. The same way, the moment you started dating your wife, you were not talking about superiority, inferiority. You did not talk about I am superior to you, you're going to be inferior to me. You did things equally. You went around playing together. It was almost as if you were children once again. You were on the phone call for a longer time. You will go and fool around, go to and fro together, talking about things that didn't make sense. How come that has stopped? How come you are no longer able to talk about that? Is it that bills have taken over your life that you cannot have those kind of conversations anymore with your wife? You need to understand that those are the conversations required, right? What happened? That the moment she said yes, it was almost as if there was a job description. You used to go to kitchen before marriage, you couldn't go to kitchen anymore, right? If she even says, sweetheart, please, can you make us breakfast? It's almost as if she has cut off your liver, or taken your heart, or taking your soul, right? You will fight it, and you will say no. You feel disrespected when she couldn't meet up, or when she's asked you to do something, right? We need to understand that what we used to do before marriage is exactly what you need to do to actually nurture your relationship and nurture your spouse, right? So we must not get it twisted. Headship doesn't mean you retire from the things you used to do. Imagine if you're in the kitchen fixing meals with your wife. Imagine if you allow her rest and you fix meals for her, right? And I know some of you are afraid that if you start it, she might want you to continue it. And what actually stops you from continuing it, right? But I know that a sensible woman will not now turn it to your duty. But even if it becomes your duty, it's not a big deal, right? But that's not to say that a woman should just sit down and do nothing, or your wife should just sit down and do nothing, right? There is strength in teamwork if the two of you do it together, right? The problem is where we think is someone else's responsibility and the other person must not. As a matter of fact, if you two of you can do without cooking and hire a cook, that will be fantastic, because you'll be fresher. You'll be able to focus on most important things like investment, traveling around the world and doing stuff. I know some of you have to work extra shift to make ends meet. And I pray that God will open fresh doors and make things easy for you. But what I'm saying, even within the little you have, you can do a whole lot together. Headship in the home is service, and its cost is high. As a matter of fact, headship in the home is sacrifice. A true head loves all the time, because true love is always a decision that is based on a commitment to consistently add value, and it doesn't even come with a thank you. It's a thankless job sometimes. It is not about what your spouse is doing, it is more about what you have decided to do. So when I see men who say they are head and they say to me, Praise, I stopped cleaning my house, and I said, why? Say, because my wife did not say thank you. I asked them, when you were single and you were cleaning your room, who was saying thank you to you? If you stop doing what you should do for your family because someone did not say thank you, then there was no good in you at all. It means you were acting all the while. Because have you ever thought of God becoming evil because we don't praise him? Have you ever thought of God punishing you because you didn't sing to him? Right? That's not God. That's not his character. He cannot deny himself. The same way, if you are truly a head, a servant of all, if you're truly a groomer, you cannot deny yourself. You know that every time you stop what you should do, you stop being you and you take on the image of someone else. So you are like God, who became devil because humanity did not praise him. No, Your life must not change. Your character must not change because someone is not saying thank you. I know this could be hard, especially if you're married to a woman who has been damaged by the men in her life before you. And I know there are so many women like that. They have been damaged by their fathers, damaged by their boyfriend before you inherited her or before you married her, right? And I know that could be very, very tough because every attempt to try to improve her, she does not reciprocate. She's almost fighting you as if you guys are competing. I know there are women like that, but you see, that's why you're a groomer, because you now need to create a strategy to winning her over, right? I know some of you have really tried, and some of you are out of marriage, but it's not the end of the world. You can always bounce back, but you see, I tell people there is no situation that true love can't heal if patience is applied. The problem is we're always in a hurry. So after doing it for 2 months, you're already tired. What if you do it for 3 years? What if you do it for 4 years? And what if you see the result? You see, because everything you do is a seed. The seed, you always harvest it, right? But a lot of us don't witness the harvest before we move on somewhere else. Now, so what do you need to do as the head of the family? Now, it's very simple. He that seeks to be the head, the leader, let him be the servant of all. You need to check and see, what do you have in the head? In the head, you have eyes, you have your nose, you have your mouth, you have your hair, you have your brain. Everything is in the head. Now, what do you do as the head of the family? So let's call you the headmaster. Number one, in the eyes, in the head, you have the eyes, which means you must be able to provide a clear vision. If I come to your house and I ask for the vision of your family, and every member of your family cannot tell us word for word your family vision, then there is going to be trouble, because it means that the vision of your family is dependent on the emotion of someone, right? Which is you, right? So nobody knows the rules, nobody knows what to expect, because your everything is dependent on your mood. That is not how to create a nation. The most important nation on earth is your family. You are the head of state of that family, and you need to collaborate with your wife to create a vision. What is vision? A vision is the mental picture of a preferred future. Vision is where you are headed, right? And that is why your eyes must provide that vision. You must be able to see into the future and build a dynasty, or build, the kind of home that you're going to be proud of. Now, I always ask people, if your family begins to advertise permanent residency, how many people will queue for the visa of your family, right? How many people will queue to come and take residency in your home, the same way people want to run to America or run to Canada? So you need to ask yourself, what is the family vision? If you don't have a family vision, that is one of your role as the head of the family. You need to sit with your family and create a family vision. I have a material on my website called Family Governance. Now, it's a robust material that encapsulates everything you need to do, from how to create a vision, to how to create a family values, to how to create your family DNA code, to how to create the legends of your family. It's on my website. It's in the e-learning platform, school.iampraisforward.com, right? So you must provide vision for your family. What is your family vision? Number two, you have your nose. Your nose is for sensitivity, right? You need to be able to sensitive to the needs of your family across board. You don't wait till she begins to wear rag before you realize that, hey, something is wrong here. Can we fix our wardrobe, or even the children? You need to be sensitive to their needs, but not just physical needs. We need to be sensitive to the emotional needs. What does your wife need emotionally? What do your children need emotionally? You need to be very sensitive. When they are upset, you must be able to pick it. When your children are moving away from you and they are moving in the direction of pornography, you need to be sensitive enough to say, hey, this child is withdrawn. What is going on here? Now, also in your head, you have ears. Your ear must master how to hear what your spouse is saying and what she's not saying, right? There are so many times, your wife is not saying a whole lot because she's not sure of how you're going to take it, which is why I always recommend that you create a template called the open day system in your home, which is a time where people are free to say what they want to say the way they want to say it. The rule is nobody must be angry. No, whatever is said must not be used against the person. Nobody must be defensive. And if it's significant to any member of your family, you need to change it. So you need to be able to hear, right, what your wife is saying and what your children are not saying, right? But beyond that, you need to be able to hear what God is saying to your family, right? Because you are the priest of your home. That is what headship is all about. If you can't hear God, how do you even know what the devil is about doing, right? Because God wants to talk to you You are the president. He wants to pass information to your family through you. He said, I know my servant Abraham. I know he's going to command his family, right? He's going to instruct his family, basically, right? So you have ears. Can you hear what God is saying about your family, about your wife? She's sick. Can you hear what God is saying, right? Can you hear what people are saying? Can you hear what life is saying? Can you hear what your family members are saying, right? If you do not have the capacity to hear what your family members are saying and they have abandoned you, that is failure, right? And that is not headship. Next one, you have mouth. You need to master communication and how to deploy your mouth to groom the esteem of every of your family member. Some men have rendered their wife useless. You have destroyed her esteem by the venom from your mouth. How do you look at someone that you sleep with and call her a fool? How do you look at your wife and call her stupid? No way. Hell no, you shouldn't be doing that. You are a groomer, right? You should use every opportunity to get the best out of her and to get the best out of your family members, right? There is nothing that is glorious in looking like Amadioha or Shongo or Ogun as a father, wherein you shout on your children, you scream at them to the point where your children begin to shake. They are afraid of you, right? There is nothing glorious in that. So you need to understand that death and life is in the power of the tongue. You are the priest of the house, and whatever you say, life will say amen to it. Do you bless your family every day? Do you bless your wife, bless your children, or you curse them with your mouth? A lot of your children are battling with low self-esteem simply because you created that gap. So you need to understand that your role is to bless. If you are the kind of father who gets angry at will, you need to deal with your anger by finding the remote or the immediate cause for your anger and get healed, so that when you look at your children, they bring you joy. When you look at your wife, you are grateful for God bringing such a person into your life, and you use your mouth to instruct, you use your mouth to teach, and use your mouth to bless. Now, the last thing you have on your head is your brain. Now, in the brain, that's where the thinking faculty is. Now, you need to think up solutions consistently that promotes the best interest of your spouse, that promote the best interest of your children. Now, that is what headship is all about. Headship is not a commando, a commandant. You have not earned the right to make all those declarations you are making if you have not provided vision, if you are not sensitive, if you don't have the capacity to hear what they are saying and what they are not saying. A leader that cannot be talked to or that is insensitive to the people he's leading is only taking a stroll. That's not a leader, right? You must have the mouth to bless, mouth to boost their self-esteem. When we see your children and we see their level of confidence, that's a testament to how good your grooming ability is. But if you have children whose esteem is low, who cannot communicate publicly, who cannot pull their weight, then that is a feedback also that you need to adjust yourself and you need to do something differently, right? And what is the thinking behind everything in your family? What is the brain behind every crisis resolution? Because that is part of your job, to resolve crisis, right? To bring people together, not to create division, not to create a preferential treatment for a particular child, but to love every one of them equally, and to ensure that everything in your family move on smoothly, right? So that is what headship is all about. Are you still the head? So today you want to make your ways right by providing vision, by being sensitive, by mastering how to hear what your spouse is saying. Can you go back to your spouse today, or go back to your children and ask them, if I can be a better father or the better head of this family, what would you want me to do? Please, it's a time to take notes. I know it's something you all dread. You hate to hear what they have to say to you, but hit the frog. Go back to them. Let them talk to you. Let your wife be very honest with you. Let your children be very honest with you. They've been dying to talk to you. Listen to them, and whatever they say, make adjustment, and tell them that you want to come for appraisal every week. Let them monitor you and feed you back if you are improving. Trust me, you will get better. I know times are hard. Many of the things many of you are manifesting were the things our fathers taught us, and it's not always the best what they showed us, right? A father must be a lover, right? A husband must be a lover. You must be the lover of the family, wherein everybody comes in your direction and they can all rest on your shoulder, because after all, father is a superhero. Okay, so it's time to make our ways right. Let me tell you, when the fathers return home, When the husbands return home and we become true head, truly serving the interests of our family, every family becomes a nation, and every family becomes a solution to the problem of the society. The most important nation on earth is your family, because your family is the production factory of the society. I'll be back tomorrow and we will go to the second common mistakes married men make. Please remember, headship is servant. Go ahead, serve your family today, and you will be glad that you did, because you will become the hero to every member of your family. Thank you very much for joining me. I really, really appreciate you. I hope you have learned something today. I'll see you tomorrow, 3 a.m., God's willing. Keep loving, keep living, and remember, we are all saviors to the problem of the world. The most important nation on earth is your family. Your family is the production factory of the society. I'll see you. Have a fantastic day. Bye bye.